Well, Dr. Paul, welcome back to Kitco News. Thanks for joining us on our Outlook.
Well, great to be with you again.
So, I need to clear the air on one thing. I've been reading reports that the Campaign for Liberty, an organization I believe you founded, is looking to get you a seat at the Board of Governors of the Fed. I couldn't believe my eyes. Is there truth behind this?
Well, the truth is that did appear, and the people who are currently managing the Campaign for Liberty day to day, they think it was a great idea. I think they're realistic, though. I think one of the goals would be to get people interested in the subject and why somebody like myself would be interested in talking about the Fed, and it has served that purpose. But I don't think they, even though they are hoping, that some good will come of it, I think most of it is to get the attention of how the Fed works, and maybe we can move the Audit the Fed bill along. Since Trump has said he supports auditing the Fed, we want to keep it in the news.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a position that you would want, but because I was thinking, well, maybe that would be a good way to change the Fed, is if you got into the Fed.
Yeah, it is, but you have to be realistic that the Fed is pretty much of a closed club. It would be interesting, to do it, and it would be difficult not to do it. But I think the odds are, pretty slim. But I think we have to keep the heat on them, and they have to explain why they wouldn't consider a person like myself. And that might be to our advantage to call attention to monetary policy. When I first started in this, monetary policy was so esoteric, that nobody wanted to talk about it. But it's become especially important, since the first time I ran for president in 07 and 08. It's become an issue, and young people are talking about it, and everybody knows the Fed is important now. And I think during this period of time, because of the failure of the Fed to do much with this last recession, that they've lost a lot of credibility.
Dr. Paul, have you had conversations with President-elect Trump about, you mentioned he's interested in auditing the Fed. Have you spoken to him about this?
No, not personally. No, I haven't. That tells you a little bit about, the real discussion, because I'm not sitting at the phone thinking in the next half hour he might call, but I hope he gets a lot of messages from people who think that it might be a worthwhile idea to have somebody, who will fight to let the people know what's going on and get the audit, because I'm convinced that if everybody knew what was going on and how they bail out companies and corporations and foreign banks and all these things, that this would be a benefit to all of us.
Finally, Dr. Paul, let's talk about gold. It's starting 2017, going up against a very strong U.S. dollar, a rallying stock market, and now rate hikes. How do you see the metal set up here? Does it still have a case?
Well, I think the compelling story is there. It has been, and it will be. But there's always ups and downs. Since I've been watching it in the 1960s, when there was warning that they would never be able to rig the price of gold at $35 an ounce, and true to the predictions, Bretton Woods broke down in 1971. And in the next decade, in less than a decade, it went from $35 an ounce to over $800 an ounce, which is horrendous. But then again, it overshot, and then gold was in the doldrums for a good many years, a couple decades. It really didn't do much. But then again, at the beginning of this century, it was like under $300 and went to $1,800. I mean, those aren't the doldrums, but it's gigantic. So, and I think we'll move into that period of time again. I think that what I see coming with the spending and the need to monetize debt and the instability of all the markets and what's going on in trade, the threat of trade wars, gold will come roaring back again. Just think when we started looking at gold at $35 an ounce, we thought, well, what if it went to $350? Tenfold increase. We had no way. And here it went to $800. And now people say, well, what do you think? It's $1,300. Do you think it'll double? Well, why shouldn't it? If these rules remain or getting worse, why shouldn't it double, triple, or quadruple? Who knows? And ultimately, If it gets out of control, then it goes to infinity because everybody dumps their dollars.
Well, we've definitely been watching the dollar and talking about the strength of the dollar. But good thoughts from you, Dr. Paul. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy holidays.
Great. Nice to be with you.
And thank you for watching. We'll have more experts coming up on our Outlook series, so be sure to stay tuned to Kitco.com. Thanks for watching.